When you consider videoing through a Lightboard, you have to remember that there are two sides of this board. One is the camera side, and the other is the presenter side. Hi, my name is Rheid Schloss, and I work for Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. And today we're going to share with you the best practices we've learned of using a Lightboard. When you consider videoing through a Lightboard, you have to remember that there are two sides of this board. One is the camera side, and the other is the presenter side. I'm going to share with you 4 points that you need to really meticulously watch for and pay attention to on the camera side, as well as 3 things as a presenter you want to also do so that you can have the best quality in your Lightboard video. On the camera side, the first thing that we want to talk about is lighting and how important lighting is for a Lightboard. What you're seeing right now is a series of about 5 different lights that are used in different ways to highlight me as a speaker, but also to highlight the glass that we're shooting through. The second thing that we want to talk about is sound. How do we take care of audio and the sound that is happening behind the glass, which a camera normally is capturing, except it's on the other side of the glass? The third item is reflection, which is a nasty little thing that happens when you have glass between you and the camera. The fourth thing that we want to talk about is backdrops. Because when you think about it, if every video looked like this, it would get pretty boring. On the presenter side, the first thing we want to share with you is pre-shoot work, which is really important. The second thing that we'll talk about is framing. And different from just your standard whiteboard discussion where you can write anywhere on the whiteboard, you want to create a frame so that you're still in the shot. Third thing that we want to talk about is your wardrobe. Because not everything that you wear behind glass and in combination with your backdrop will actually work. So even though I'm wearing a cool, neat, floral Friday shirt, if that's not what you're trying to depict in your video, then it might not be the right one to choose, especially if you're trying not to distract from the content that you're putting on your Lightboard. Okay, we've talked about the camera side, but let's talk about the presenter side and what the presenter should be doing. For a pre-shoot activity, one of the first things you want to do is take your presentation and you actually want to physically write it out the way you want it on the Lightboard. So in the case of this presentation, what I've done is I've created just a quick little diagram of the things that are going to be on the Lightboard. And again, you don't want this to get too messy. In that pre-setup, you should also consider what core items you want to be on the Lightboard first, because it actually is very distracting as you're trying to draw these things out freehand to keep interacting with your audience. So what I suggest is you take your core items or artifacts that you want on your Lightboard and have them already there. Take your time doing it, because you'll get to the point that you'll say, oh, that doesn't look good, and you'll erase it and you want to do it again. And before you know it, you are re-erasing, reshooting, trying to do this over and over again. So again, in your pre-shoot activities, go through slide by slide, identify what you want on your Lightboard at each specific segment that you're going to present, and then identify those elements that you want to be on the whiteboard before you even get started. Why that's important is because cleaning up the Lightboard is much more meticulous than you think. As I gave you a kind of a precursor in what the reflection does, anytime you wipe away something from the whiteboard, it takes a few minutes to actually get all of that off of the glass. Another thing that you should know about pre-shoot is that shooting with a Lightboard and a teleprompter doesn't work, because everything that's on your teleprompter actually reflects back off of the glass to the camera. So what you'll see is actually a haze of what that teleprompter is actually spewing for you. So the best thing I can recommend in this case is outline it, and if you need notes, you can actually put them out of the shot. In this case, I'm taking my notes, I'm sliding them onto the other side of the Lightboard, and I can look directly through the Lightboard down and see what's on my notes. That's a great way of preparing and also reassuring yourself that you'll be able to stop, pause, look down, read the item that you want to say, look up, and then say it. Number 2, framing. This is something that is just common sense, but it's really important. Framing in the perspective of that you need to stay in the frame, whether that is center of your camera, like I'm doing with this presentation, or if I'm presenting on this right side, I wouldn't be talking through all of this unless I was writing through it, but I would always come back to be back in focus in the camera. So when you are creating your outline drawings, whether you've done that in PowerPoint or hand drawn them like I've done, always be considerate of where your frame is. The third thing that we want to talk about from a presenter perspective is wardrobe. Wardrobe is very important, not only as a presenter because you want it to help connect with you and the audience, but also because the Lightboard creates some different challenges for you. For example, a black backdrop with a black shirt makes me look like a talking head in this weird state with some arms that show up. Using a blue shirt, for example, might be a more appropriate setting for a black backdrop, or maybe a purple shirt, or some other. All of those work well on a black background. Again, remember, variety is key to also that creativity of the Lightboard. An important part of that too is if you move into the text, does your wardrobe now make that text disappear? Is it hard to see? So you might want to stick with solid colors for what you're wearing as a wardrobe. When you're working with a green screen, the color is not as important as long as it's not green, because then you have that same problem that you have with the black on black. The last thing I want to say about wardrobe is remember not to wear anything, a shirt, t-shirt, whatever it is, that has lettering on it. Part of processing this in post is actually inverting it so that everything that you're writing on the Lightboard is inverted so that people can see it and read it. What that does to any writing that's on you, it actually does the reverse so that it makes it unreadable. So there you have it. The best practices when using a Lightboard and shooting. From the presenter side, remember, do your pre-shoot work. Lay things out, make sure you create the diagrams before you get behind the glass, because inevitably it'll take you hours trying to figure out what you want it to look like and cleaning it and getting it just right. Second, frame it. Make sure that you're in your frame, that you save space so that you're not writing over you or put something across your forehead. And the last one, wardrobe. Nail it. Don't be the talking head. Use something that's a brighter color on a black background. On the green screen, you can use many colors except green. So there you have it. Those are our best practices for using a Lightboard for video.